Welcome to But Frankly Peirce News. I'm Arthur Fairview. In the past, we've reported about a few things that have happened in Texas, and we have at times been critical of the governor, who shall remain nameless.
Oh, you're no fun.
We also made an assertion that everything is bigger in Texas, especially stupid. Well, unfortunately, we need to look back and rephrase that because things in Texas have gotten much, much worse.
It's worse.
At midnight on September 1st,
of course it happened at midnight.
Texas took a really big step toward dystopian society. We begin with House Bill 1927, which went into effect on midnight, September 1st, 2021. It allows people to carry handguns without a permit, unless they have been convicted of a felony or domestic violence.
Happiness is a warm gun.
This measure was not popular in the state. 59% of Texans, including law enforcement officers, opposed it, but 56% of Republicans supported it.
You mean?
That's right.
In an interview with Heidi Perez Moreno of the Texas Tribune, when Republican Governor Greg Abbott signed the bill in August, James McLaughlin, executive director of the Texas Police Chiefs Association, was quoted stating, "I don't know what it's a solution to. I don't know what the problem was to start with."
Send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan. Hey!
Well, that's not good.
Kind of sucks, actually.
But that was not the only bill that went into effect at midnight on September 1st in Texas.
Thank you, sir. May I have another? Thank you, sir. May I have another?
In May, Governor Abbott signed the strongest anti-abortion law in the country, Senate Bill 8, which went into effect on September 1st. It bans abortion after 6 weeks, when many women don't even know they're pregnant, thus automatically stopping about 85% of abortions in Texas. There are no exceptions for rape or incest. Opponents of the bill have asked the Supreme Court to stop the law from taking effect. It declined to do so.
What do you mean you're not gonna do it?
The law avoided the 1973 Supreme Court Roe versus Wade decision, protecting the right to abortion before fetal viability at 22 to 24 weeks by leaving the enforcement of the law not up to the state, but rather up to private citizens.
Private citizens?
You mean mob rule?
SB 8 puts ordinary people in charge of law enforcement. Anyone at all can sue any individual who aids or abets, or even intends to abet, an abortion in Texas after 6 weeks. Women seeking abortion themselves are exempt, but anyone who advises them, including a spouse, gives them a ride, provides counseling, staffs a clinic, and so on, can be sued by any random stranger.
Do I know you?
If the plaintiff wins, they pocket $10,000 plus court costs, and the clinic that provided the procedure is closed down. If the defendant doesn't defend themselves, the court must find them guilty. And if the defendant wins, they get nothing, not even attorney fees.
You lose! Good day, sir!
Shut the front door. A bonus incentive to randomly sue anyone you suspect?
This is going to create a witch hunt.
We have found the witch! May we burn her!
So, nuisance lawsuits will ruin abortion providers, along with anyone accused of aiding and abetting or intending to abet an abortion. And the enforcers will be ordinary citizens.
This has the possibility of turning people into
vigilante bounty hunters.
Bounty hunters? We don't need that scum.
Texas has also just passed new voting restrictions that allow partisan poll watchers to have free movement in polling places, enabling them to intimidate voters. Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed that bill into law on Tuesday, September 7th.
And based on the new gun law, these same people can be carrying guns without a permit.
Talk about intimidation.
Taken together with the vigilantism running wild in school board meetings and attacks on election officials, the Texas legislation seemingly has created a monster and is unleashing on the populace. The Republican Party is empowering vigilantes to enforce their beliefs against their neighbors.
A riot is an ugly thing. And I think that it is just about time that we had one!
Is somebody going to do something about this?
To answer that question, we go to an unusual source. Andrea Foley is a frequent viewer of the program.
And our contest winner.
What contest?
Thanks, Arthur. Can I call you Arthur, or do you prefer Mr. Fairview?
Arthur is fine. So you had some insights you wanted to share with our viewers regarding what we can do about this devastating law.
Oh, yes, right. So I know President Biden responded, right? So he was going to do some stuff, I think?
Well, yes. He did issue a response where he vowed to take action. What information do you have for us on that, Andrea?
Well, he said something about it being pretty awful.
I think the words you're looking for are an unprecedented assault on women's constitutional rights under Roe versus Wade, which has been the law of the land for over 50 years.
Yeah, that's what he said. Wow, you are smart. This is a really scary thing. As a woman, I don't want someone injecting themselves into my private personal health decisions.
This law is so extreme, it does not even allow for exceptions in the case of rape or incest. And it not only empowers complete strangers to inject themselves into the most private decisions made by a woman, it actually incentivizes them to do so with the prospect of a $10,000 bounty if they win their case.
Totally ridiculous. My body, my choice.
What about HIPAA? Doesn't that figure into here somewhere?
From what we can see, based on how the law is written, probably not. The law does not permit lawsuits against patients on whom an abortion is performed or induced.
So instead of going after the patient directly, it removes all chance of seeking a provider to perform the abortion.
Exactly. So, Andrea, you had some information on what people can do about this.
Oh, right. I think we should start some boycotts that can hurt the Texas politicians in the pocketbook. So we need to look to Hollywood. There are things the entertainment community can do as a form of protest.
I can see that. Back in 2019, a similar measure in Georgia sought to ban abortion after 6 weeks, or at the detection of a fetal heartbeat. Georgia is a massive production hub known for generous tax incentives, and Hollywood contributes billions to the state economy annually. So the industry intended to weaponize its checkbook to rattle the lawmakers.
Money makes the world go around.
I read that. Disney threatened to pack up and move in solidarity with its female workforce. Netflix said it would rethink its investment if they passed the law.
In the end, Georgia blinked, and the law was later struck down in higher courts.
Case dismissed.
I think there are a few things planning to happen in Texas too. Ironically, HBO's Love and Death starring Elizabeth Olsen from The Handmaid's Tale, and 2 untitled projects shooting across multiple Texas cities from Disney and NBC's Universal. So if we can get Hollywood to threaten to pull the projects.
I see where you're going, but won't that just hurt the little people trying to earn a living?
So I was reading the LA Times, and Alyssa Milano is trying to lead the charge in this. She referred to the politicians as the Texas Taliban, calling it a forced pregnancy law rather than an anti-abortion law.
Ha, good one.
Alyssa Milano was quoted stating, "I don't know if a Hollywood boycott would do much directly, but a Hollywood-driven boycott of companies which fund the campaigns of Governor Greg Abbott and others like him might hurt him more. If unions refuse to shoot ads, or if those of us with big platforms use our voices against the dirty money that feeds this beast, it could be very effective."
In addition to film shoots, the Blue Pocket of Austin, Texas, represents a significant cultural power source.
Isn't that where Six We is held?
What?
Six We, South by Southwest.
Oh, SXSW. Yes, its annual conference, which gathers leaders in music, tech, film, and politics.
Well, it does look like people are already talking about boycotting that.
There's also the longtime home of city devotees, Matthew McConaughey, Richard Linklater, and the Alamo Drafthouse founder, Tim League. Also has major hubs for tech players such as Google and Dell, which may feel pressure to boycott the state over the new laws. Is there anything else you would like to add, Andrea?
If Roe v. Wade were just codified, this would be much simpler.
Thank you for your time, Andrea.
No problem.
So that does raise an interesting point. Politicians have been campaigning on codifying Roe versus Wade for years, yet it is still not done.
Good God, what in the hell are you waiting for?
Representative Judy Chu of California understands how important this is. She has introduced legislation to protect abortion rights. She did this back in 2013 and again in 2015 and 2017 and once again in 2019 and still again this year as well. This is something many politicians pay lip service to around election time, but it never goes any further than that.
Well, I don't think we can wait any longer.
Starting in 2011, we saw these states doing these anti-abortion laws that were restricting access by requiring a certain width of the doors or doctors to be admitted at hospitals where there's no relevance, or requiring waiting periods, ultrasounds, or 2 separate visits to clinics. And we knew we had to have an overall solution that would indeed make the protections of Roe versus Wade into law by establishing a federal statutory right for patients to receive and providers to provide abortion care free from these medically unnecessary restrictions that single out abortion and impede access. This bill will indeed do this.
Representative Chu feels very strongly that this can happen this time.
Since the beginning of the introduction of this bill, we've had an incredible partner, an incredible champion, and that is Senator Richard Blumenthal, who introduced the Senate version of this bill since the beginning. And he has been working to get the co-sponsors. He actually has 48 co-sponsors on the Senate side. We also know that there are 2 Republicans that are pro-choice. And so we have the ability to get somewhere on this, besides the fact that the country is more galvanized than ever because of this disturbing and chilling bill that would turn private citizens into vigilante bounty hunters against anybody who helps a woman who wants to have an abortion. Doctors, staff members at clinics, counselors, people who help pay for the procedure. Even an Uber driver taking a patient to an abortion clinic could be subject to this $10,000 fine. A private citizen could go after all of them and make quite a living, actually.
Nancy Pelosi stated she will bring Congresswoman Chu's Women's Health Protection Act to the floor and pass it as soon as the House returns from recess later this month. Hopefully, that can put an end to this witch hunt. And yet, we did find some good news out of this. A Texas state judge issued a temporary restraining order against an anti-abortion group on Friday the 3rd, preventing it from suing abortion providers employed by Planned Parenthood. Travis County District Judge Maya Guerra-Gamble ruled that under the Senate Bill 8 law, Planned Parenthood faced, and its staff and patients faced, probable, irreparable, and imminent injury if they were sued by the nonprofit group Texas Right to Life, its legislative director, and 100 unidentified individuals.
Well, that's a start.
However, her 3-page order does not prevent others from using the new law against Planned Parenthood or other abortion providers in Texas.
Shit.
A hearing on a preliminary injunction request is set for September 13th. Finally, Governor Abbott was asked about the lack of exceptions for rape or incest in this new draconian law. Here is his response.
Force a rape or incest victim to carry a pregnancy to term.
It doesn't require that at all because obviously it provides at least 6 weeks for a person to be able to get an abortion. And so for one, it doesn't provide that.
On Tuesday, CNN's Anderson Cooper spoke with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez about the governor's response to the Texas abortion law. AOC summed it up in a word: disgusting.
Well, I find Governor Abbott's comments disgusting, and I think there's twofold. One, I don't know if he is familiar with a menstruating person's body. In fact, I do know that he's not familiar with a woman, with a female or menstruating person's body, because if he did, he would know that you don't have 6 weeks. Is that quote unquote 6 weeks? And I'm sorry we have to break it down on, break down biology 101 on national television. But in case no one has informed him before in his life, 6 weeks pregnant means 2 weeks late for your period. And 2 weeks late on your period for any person with a menstrual cycle can happen if you're stressed, if your diet changes, or for really no reason at all. So you don't have 6 weeks.
AOC clearly not holding anything back.
Well, she is correct in what she said.
And once again, we have to ask the governor of Texas this question.
Are you high or just incredibly stupid?
Either way, one thing is certain. Everything is still bigger in Texas, especially stupid. This has been the Frankly Peirce News. Thanks for watching. I'm Arthur Fairview. They say there are strangers who threaten us, in our immigrants and infidels. They say there is strangeness too dangerous in our theaters and bookstore shelves. That those who know what's best for us must rise and save us from ourselves.
And